tiny little deck. Okay. Okay, we are live. Okay, so we are live. We are doing also. Can I flip that? It's fine. It's going to be reversed. Yeah, no such thing as quiet on the set here. It's fine. I think I'm also going to put us on.
But your words are correct.
Oh, okay. So we're fine then. We are mirrored. We're good. Okay, cool. All right. I know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're only like 30 seconds in and this is already turned sideways. It's all good. We're gonna do on that one, we're gonna do TikTok live. We're gonna go live. Here you go, Kim. We're live in 3, 2, 1. Kim's putting the thing in there. Okay.
Is it straight?
No, nothing in this room is. Okay, so tilt it down. Turn it. Yeah, there you go. Okay, we're good. We have no idea what's gonna happen at this point. It's all good. It's fine. Okay. So what random chaos are we doing this morning? We are live from the House of Rainbows and Awesome. Yay. We are doing, this is going to go so sideways. I think there's one person currently watching. It's fine. Okay, so I don't know what's going on up there. I can never tell what's going on TikTok. So if you're on TikTok, I apologize. I never know what's going on there. I literally just load things and pray. So I have my Tarot Cafe friends here in the House of Rainbows and Awesome today, and we are going to do some chatting about the death card. And we are going to start with Kim, who's going to talk about a couple of different death cards. And hopefully these are also going to be cut up into little pieces and set up as other random videos later on. So if you are interested in that and you don't catch all of them, don't worry. We're going to talk about more of them later. There will be recordings. And this is also live recording on YouTube. So if you want to go hang out on YouTube and join us, you can do that too. We are going to start with Kim, and Kim is not sitting down. She's like, I'm over here hiding.
I was waiting for my cue.
There's no cues today. That's your cue. All right. There's no cues today. So for those who are completely new to our chaos, I'm Jen. And this is Kim, and Kim has been seen in other videos in the past. Just a few. We'll have some returning guests and some new friends today, and we're going to talk about the death card. And Kim has 3 cards that we're going to talk about. And she's also going to share with us a little bit about the decks that she has and why she chose those decks and why she chose these particular death cards to talk about, because she has way more than 3 decks to talk about. Just a few more than 3 decks to talk about. So
I try to limit to 10.
Yeah, it's like a cycling 10.
Yeah,
I meant like a cycling 12 or 13.
Yeah.
No, not. It's like 20 something. So
you're next level.
Yeah, I am kind of next level on the weirdness. So okay, we are going to start with which deck, Kim?
So I was going to start with the Dreaming Way Tarot. It's actually my newest acquisition.
Okay, acquisition.
And I because she's actually fairly simple. So
yeah, look at that. She's kind of got the what is it? The woman in the rocking chair painting.
Yes.
Kind of vibe going on. I like that.
So like it's very traditional, with the death symbolism with the side.
Yes.
Dressed all in black.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the white belt is very interesting.
It is. I do like that. It's
like it's very contrasted. Like it does help break her up a little bit. So like visually, it's very nice.
See, my favorite part about this is, of course, the font.
Well, yes,
because if you guys can see that, it is just a very simple font. And the death card is number 13. So that's clearly represented. And it's not in Roman numerals. For those of you who are not a fan of Roman numerals and would rather use the Arabic numbers that we know and love. Yes. So what is it else about this one? I see you looking at the book.
So it comes with a little cheat sheet book.
Cool.
Which is very nice.
And books.
And it gives both upright and reversed keywords. So upright, finality, acceptance of change, conclusion, letting go of old attitudes.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. So it's very specific in that it's not. It
Yeah.
is more about the change and like how you can let go. Whereas reversed is resistance, rejection, ongoing suffering, and holding on to the past.
Yes.
Things that might not be working out so well for you that you should be letting go.
Right.
So yeah, it's not a finalization.
I also just noticed that the background of this matches my wall back there. So it's
It-
literally just, she's just
kinda
sitting in the
does.
room with us. The death card is just here. We'll put it right here. We'll be like, she's just hanging out with us. She's just living under our
But yeah,
Okay.
it's kind of
Okay, so what I like about it is that it does have these kind of leaves, which I'm not sure how well it shows up on camera, but there's like a pattern to the walls, and they are kind of like sheaves of wheat kind of pattern. And I feel like that's that transformation where you're harvesting, you're changing, you're transforming. Also, I noticed that her belt
is sashes.
Yeah, but also her body isn't there. She has no middle.
Okay. That I did not.
Yeah, that's the background.
Oh, peeking through.
She's in two pieces. So our little character is in two pieces here, and I'm going to hand off the card to everybody else in the room, which, by the way, we have a live studio audience today.
Yay.
Which is always helpful.
Which is always helpful because then I'm not talking into the void, which right now we are very much talking into the void. Okay. So that's this one. Is there anything else you wanted to add about this one or this deck in particular?
It's just a very simple, muted but direct kind of deck.
And you do like those because you also use the Mystic Medleys one. And
well, yes, but that's a very different.
Well, it's a different vibe, but it's also very direct in its meaning. So
yes, it is very direct.
You like those. We like
Yes.
those. Okay. So again, we are here with Kim, and she is sharing her death cards with us. And so we are going to talk about another death card with her, and that is. Oh, I love this one. It's cutesy. We like the cutesy cards.
So this I got last Halloween at a fair, a craft fair.
Was it the Yule?
Yes.
Something. Yeah.
And
Okay.
I could not resist.
Yeah, that's very cute. And
Like-
it gives the vibe of your little cartoon decks that you are fond of. You have
Yes.
like two types of deck.
Yes.
You have your cartoon decks, and then you have your
Artsy,
creepy kind of decks, which, yes, I feel like that's your vibe.
which
So
I love them both.
yeah, okay. So I love the back of this one too. It's really fun. We've got our little black cats. It gives us for sure the Halloween vibe.
And I appreciate decks that have on the back something that is reversible.
Yeah, so you can't tell if they're upside down or not. Kim
Yes.
likes to be surprised. So
Yes.
all right.
Well, there's anticipation, and then there's yes, horror.
Horror, anticipation, and horror. Okay, so we have.
This card has a lot more imagery to it.
Oh yeah, there's a lot going on. In this
Yes. So we've got our skeleton, and he is actually helping these pumpkins grow and thrive. And it doesn't really show. Wait a minute, we've got little like ghosties.
Yeah.
Of the ones that are being let go.
Yep. We're releasing things.
Yes.
Oh,
sorry, that's more fence.
No, it's ghosts and things
Yeah.
too.
True.
Yeah, you've got all kinds of things going on. I like the
So,
creepy flowers. They're like the best part of this.
Yes, up in that corner right there.
We are living. We are growing flowers. We are happy. Everything's happy in this card too.
Well, yes, but there's more symbolism in this card.
Oh yes.
We've got an Ankh here.
Yep.
We've got Saturn.
Yep.
Hanging out in the sky,
Which Saturn is the planet associated with the death card. Yes.
which I would not know.
Right. Yeah. So it's nice when we have some of these cards that have extra stuff, and you're like, oh yeah, that's valuable information up there. And the Ankh. Do we know what the Ankh means?
It's life.
Yeah. See, I knew you knew.
Yes. Was that my pop question?
That may have been your pop question for this one.
So and this also comes with a little
Little
cheat
book.
book.
Little book.
But it just gives a little description. All endings make way for new beginnings. An abrupt and totally unexpected change. Destruction followed by new growth.
Mhm.
Release from old patterns, new ideas and opportunities. So it actually leans heavily into the more positive aspects.
Yes.
Of
Well, I feel like, yes.
yeah.
This
No,
deck
that,
in particular.
yes.
Yes. Very much into the positive kind of stuff. So the idea with this one too, I think, leans heavily into, yes, Halloween, but also what is the real, well, one of the reasons we celebrate Halloween
is to
connection.
reconnect with our ones who have passed.
Right. And I think there's a big leaning in this one to that, because while, yes, we've got the pumpkins down here or the jack-o'-lanterns smiling, but it's the flowers that I'm like, oh, which way am I going? So stop looking at the screen, Jen. So the flowers are that representation of connecting to our past and connecting to all of those things. And I want to say they're sunflowers, but they're not the right color for sunflowers.
No, they're really not.
So I'm not really sure what flower it's supposed to be, or just a regular cartoon kind of flower, and they chose purple to just make it stand out. I like that death is actually watering the plants. So it's like, hey, with death we have new growth. That's that kind of Persephone aspect of things too. So we kind of grow from things. And then I see all the please join us. I don't know how to do that, so thank you, welcome. So all right, one of the other things I want to point out on this one is that as far as traditional symbolism, we have the little rose that's on there that happens to be on the watering can, and the rose represents life too. So it's life-giving waters, life-giving, all of those things. So we've got that. We talked about the Ankh. I am curious about the rat a little bit. I'm not sure if anybody wants to offer information on that symbolism, if you want to try out that one. But I do see the death's head butterfly down in the corner. So moth, death's head moth, but whatever, it's pretty. So it gets to be a butterfly too. So there's that one. How do you feel about this card? You dig it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we got one more card that we're going to do with Kim. Kim, I feel like, is saving the best for last.
Yes.
Because we're talking about the death cards this month. And that's what we're talking about all month with Tarot Cafe, is kind of like leaning into the death card. Because what is the season?
Yeah.
March.
It's March. It's spring. It's the
Rebirth.
rebirth. Yes. So we're leaning into the more positive side of death anyway, because we're talking about the rebirth aspect. So, all right. So what's your last one you got for us? This one has a little book and everything.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'll hold the card. You go the book.
This actually has a substantial book to it. And it's the Herb Crafters Tarot.
Yes. I love this one.
And like, I saw it and I just had to get it. The back is also reversible, but it's got all these little fun.
Kim's trying to figure out the.
There we go.
We love the video. They're all
so each card is represented by a plant.
Oh, I like that. Yes.
So the death card is the marigold.
Perfect. See, this one we talked about on your Halloween one, that the flowers could have been any flowers. We don't know what they are. And on this one, the marigold is specific.
It's very specific.
So this is also very specific to a culture. So I don't know if you are as familiar. You're relatively new to Arizona, so I don't know if you're as familiar with the Day of the Dead celebrations and things, but all of this is got Day of the Dead screaming out of it. So from the butterflies to the marigolds to the candles and the sugar skull in the middle, all of that. And I think there's like the flags in the background too. It's hard to see on the screen.
Oh, yes.
You've got the flags in the
Very
background.
much.
All of that is very Dia de los Muertos. And so this card clearly is not just embracing. I'll hold it because you're like, I'm like, your arms getting tired.
No, I was
like, which way do I
yes.
go?
The camera's messing me up.
I know. See, don't look at the camera. camera.
Yeah.
So stop looking at yourself. That's why I like doing videos with Kim. All right. So with this one, all of this stuff does culminate. Does this one talk about the marigold in the book?
Yes.
Good.
Very
Good,
much.
Good. I'm
13 beeswax candles glow inside a mandala of marigold flowers in a dark room. A skull painted as striking reds, purples, and greens is illuminated in the center. Delicate and colorful cut tissue paper flags frame the top and bottom of the mandala. Monarch butterflies are drawn to the rich scent of the flowers.
Yep.
All things come to an end, find closure, so you may accept renewal, pay homage to what must die. It has given you life.
Yep.
And like it goes on, but it also gives you craft ideas on like what you can do.
Create a ceremony to create symbolic death, build a mandala outside to celebrate beauty. Beautiful. I love this. Making butterfly art. See, a lot of people do not realize that how significant the butterfly is to so many cultures with death. So the fact that the butterfly is represented in at least 2 of the cards that you have shown us is really cool, because I think we forget that, and we forget that, you know, this is a message that we want to put out too, is that the transformation. One of my favorite decks actually uses the butterfly as the full death card after going from the Fool through different stages, and that's that insect tarot deck.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that one probably again this month. I'm going to try to do more death card videos this month, but thank you, Kim, for doing this.
Yeah.
And thank you for anybody who is joining us. We don't currently have anybody on the YouTube thing right now, but if anybody wants to tell people, hey, we're here, we're doing that. All right, Kim's running away. So my next co-host is going to be Taylor, and I'm actually going to switch sides because Taylor's over on this side of the room. So I'm just going to make it easy for her so she doesn't have to try to walk over things. And Kim is going to vaguely handle things on the tech side while Taylor's moving in here, because Kim is very good at that. So Kim, if she logs into her YouTube and or TikTok or whatever, she can answer questions, because Kim's really good at being the PA on stuff like that. I'm not so great at that. So we are live at the House of Rainbows and Awesome today, and we are talking about the death card. And I'm also going to ask for technical assistance in that I did not grab my power cord from my computer, and it is already in a very unhappy place. So Kim will go get my, it's in my backpack in the green room. So because we may have to plug in the computer. Hopefully we don't lose anybody in the middle of this. So Taylor is joining me, and Taylor's already what is happening? So Taylor did some videos with me. No, you did videos before. This is not a problem.
Many moons ago,
but it's fine. It's been many moons since I've done new videos, but everybody's been requesting it. So I'm back and I'm doing more, and I'm trying to be more about this. So Taylor has brought us 3 cards today to play with. Only two. Okay. She's only brought us 2. It's okay. I said up to 3. So 2 is fine. All right. Yes. So she's brought us 2 cards to play with today, and we're going to talk about those and a little bit about why she chose the decks that she chose, and what her favorite thing about these cards. So I will hold the cards if you want, while you hold the books, because you've got your hands full right there. I'm going to interrupt for just a second because Kim, the plug's on this side, and then I think the closest outlet's behind me. So you're going to see Kim's butt maybe in a minute here. Yay! Well, our numbers will skyrocket in a minute. So all right, hey baby. All right, so Taylor, we've got the first deck you have for us. I believe you've shown us before, but I don't know that we've done the death card for it before, but I really love this one. So we have
White Bear King Vailmon from Norway, a Norwegian fairy tale. It's from the Tarot of the Divine deck, which is one of my personal favorites.
Yes, I know. Taylor shared this one with us on many occasions. And I love this one because, again, The symbolism is really obvious in a lot of these, but also the font is great. It says death very clearly down here. And then it also has the number 13. It is in Roman numerals, and that's a little harder to see. But yeah, it's there. And also, if you know it's the death card, knowing it's the number 13 isn't as valuable. But all right, Taylor. So what is it that you love about this particular death card?
That it's not really the traditional symbol like the white horse, the York. I believe it's like the York rose of the War of the Roses, the scythe and stuff like that. But it's still like very mysterious, and you can tell it's sort of death because of the giant, creepy, shadowy skeleton. And once you peek behind the curtain,
yes, I like the symbolism of the veil in this one because the veil, it represents that crossing over aspect, and I like that. So in your fairy tale, because that's what this whole deck is about, is fairy tales, what is this relating to? Because it also feels kind of Beauty and the Beast-ish.
Well, I skimmed through like what it's about. It seems like a mixture of Beauty and the Beast and Echo and Psyche, in which gist of it, from what I could remember, is like either this king and queen or this couple have 3 kids and only one of them is pretty while the rest are ugly. Somehow a bear who can talk comes in. Yeah.
I love Norway.
I don't know. I'm trying to be like respectful, but also like, what the heck? So he takes this girl with him. I'd say she's probably a teenager, and they have 3 kids somehow.
So this is how we get Goldilocks and the 3 bears.
Yeah. And each time she gives birth to a kid, the bear like takes the kid away, so she misses her family, and she asks the bear if she can return to her family, and he says yes, but only if you listen to what your father has to say and not your mother. And when she goes back, her mother is like, hey, you should take this candle, and if you want to see what the bear actually looks like, take the candle, light the candle, and sneak into his room and see what he looks like in the candlelight. And she listens to her mother, and she
remember, kids, don't listen to your mom.
Obviously. And so she sneaks into the bear's room, and she pulls back the curtain, and she sees a man. And
spoiler
of a God knows how long fairy tale. But when she does that, I guess a piece of the wax or something wakes the human up, and he turns back into a bear, and something about a curse, and he runs away.
Something about a curse, and he runs. I thought he was gonna like devour her. That would have been way better.
Yeah.
So what happened to all these kids?
I don't really mention it. They just say she gives birth to this 3 kids with the bear guy thing, and they magically disappear. I don't know. I don't really want to know.
Yay! All right. So as far as death cards are concerned in that story, I would say that maybe it's a little bit about not trying to shine light on those dark places that we don't want to know more about. Be aware that sometimes it's better. The unknown is better to remain unknown and just have faith in it and accept it. Although this is a very weird way of saying have faith in the unknown or trust the process of things. It's like, I'm not so sure about don't listen to your mom aspect, but sure, whatever. I also just now noticed Taylor's t-shirt today.
I was wondering if you would notice.
And she Taylor understood the assignment this week. That's awesome. So yeah, I think you can see it easier on the TikTok than you can on the
yeah. It says I'll follow you everywhere, and it's the Grim Reaper.
I love it. All right, so we have our second and last death card that we're talking about with Taylor this month. We may come back to this. We'll see if people enjoy it and we want to do it again. We'll do it again. Sure, why not? All right. So I know what deck this is from. So Missy, we've got angel wings and demon wings on the back. We have some symbols on here that may or may not be like a demon trap kind of thing. And we have a very signature death card image, which isn't going to clue you in at all on what deck this is, but Taylor has a little book, and would you like to show them the cover of the book? Because This is a really fun deck in general, but it is not one that's going to be given away by just the images. Yeah,
The
Good Omens deck. So for those who are not fans of Good Omens, shame on you. And
Yes.
where have you been?
I know. Right?
For those who are, I'm going to say a couple of things about this deck before we move into the death card on it.
Mhm.
It is a really fun deck if you are a fan of the show, of the book, and anything about this whole thing. But if you are interested in tarot, it is kind of a weird deck, and I'm not a real fan of how the symbology works together. Some of the cards are great, but overall, I would say it's not the best deck for somebody who is really trying to learn tarot, but it's a really fun fan deck. And so I'm down for that. But the death card has got some great simple symbolism. I'm going to start out again with the font. Lovely, beautiful, easy to read, easy to tell which card this is. And I think it's pretty clear what death we are dealing with.
Death.
Death. Our traditional Grim Reaper is represented on here, which Terry Pratchett also has a thing about death. Many of his other books feature death as a main character. So it makes sense that the typical scythe-bearing death card is there. Does the book say anything interesting about this, though? Anything unique that might stand out to us?
Not well. Maybe a little bit of a hint as to like season 2, episode 6 of Good Omens.
She's like,
But,
I know
like,
the spoilers. So here you go. This is your 3, 2, 1, spoilers go.
Transformation is an essential condition of life. None of us stay the same forever, or nothing lasts forever. Hint, hint.
Nothing lasts forever. Wow. Yeah, that was giant spoilers. Well done. Well played. But if you haven't seen it yet, oh well, it'll hit you just like it hit the rest of us.
Well, I mean, all I said was a quote. I did not say in context of said quote.
That's fine.
So obviously it's about happy bunnies and flowers and butterflies.
And everything going exactly as planned.
Exactly.
So I think though that is something maybe we should lean into in the representation of the death card as we talk about it is death is something that is inevitable, but is also not something that we plan for necessarily. Yes, we can try to plan for death. I have, all of my burial plans figured out. I have my life insurance figured out. I know who's going to do what and who's getting what of my supplies. But really, like, even if we know exactly how we think we're going to die, something may happen out of the blue that we weren't expecting. So I think that while we can kind of plan around it, our plans can also go awry. And so death is one of those things where inevitable, but not planned for. It's kind of the way I look at the death card.
I would have thrown an ineffable in there somewhere.
Ineffable, yes. Inevitable, ineffable. It is death. So Terry Pratchett would probably approve this message. So, all right. Is there anything else you want to say about this particular deck, why you chose it, other than obviously you are a fan of the show and the book and all of that?
Well, I mean, you can't get more literal than literal death. Oh, there's like little snakes.
Yeah. She's like, oh, there's little snakes. So for those who can't see it on the screen, there are little snakes and things on there. There's all kinds of little stuff going on. This is a very active card, really. If you are uncertain of tarot, I would not rely on this deck. But again, there's little Easter eggs in every single card that has to do with the show, because it's got the angel wings and the snakes, obviously are Crowley and Aziraphale. So it's on every card that you've got different stuff like that. So I love this deck. And I love that even though Taylor has had this deck for a couple months now, it still surprises her. And I love that. Like, I love having a deck that still surprises me. I love tarot still surprising me, much like death can always be a surprise.
Yeah.
Yay. All right. Taylor, thank you so much for coming back and joining us with two cards. I'm going to see if Ron would like to join us. Sure. Yes? All right. So Ron's going to join us on this side. And I think that's how I'm going to kind of have everybody come in, because now that we have the cord over here on this side, I don't know if anybody can see it, but everybody else who's coming in, who's hanging out with us today at the House of Rainbows and Awesome, please come in from this side. And then that way we don't trip over cords and things. Ron! Welcome back, Ron.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you back. And how many cards do you have for us? Oh, you got two. Awesome. 2 decks. I love it. And also, I think one of them, did you borrow that from Kim or did you
Yes,
get your
I
own?
borrowed it. From
I was
Kim.
like, did you also get that deck? I'm super excited. All right.
After seeing it, it's like, yeah, that's
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
a
cool.
fun deck,
Yeah.
but it is also
Non-traditional,
not
yeah.
a well. It's a traditional Marseille deck, but it also has some unique things about it.
Oh yes,
So we're going to talk a little bit about that because the death card, in fact, is very
different,
but also a huge nod to the thing. So I'm going to hold the card and you hold the books.
Right.
The first deck that we are using is going to be looks like your
Alice in Wonderland.
Wonderland Tarot. So I was going to ask, this is a Barbara Moore deck. Our group, by the way, absolutely loves Barbara Moore decks. They are amazing. Their descriptions are brilliant. The designs of them are lovely. They're usually very unique, but also true to the storyline of the tarot, at least for the most part. Sometimes they're a little bit off. But all right. So what have we got for our death card for this one? We have
death. Yes. A
snuffed out candle.
Yes. It's Alice looking very haggard and the snuffed out candle and the stuff on the table.
Yeah.
It definitely looks like she's in a very bad spot. Which, of course, Wonderland itself for her was a very bad spot in most ways.
Yeah, I love that. Really, we're leaning in on the transformation side, I think, of death with this one because
I totally agree.
Because we've got our little drink me bottle right here, and we've got our little cupcake tin right here that says "Eat Me" on it. So I feel like we're leaning into death's transformation rather than that completion and letting go of things. Does the book have anything that really stands out for you?
Well, it starts out with in Wonderland when Alice is waiting to see the effects of having drunk the liquid in the bottle marked "Drink Me." She wonders how small she will become. So for it might end, said Alice to herself, am I going out altogether like a candle? I wonder what I should be like then. And she tried to fancy what the flame of a candle looks like after the candle is blown out, for she could not remember ever having seen such a thing.
Yep. So I think that's a big message with this death card. Is again, we're going back to the unknown, to that transformation, and never having seen, I like that she's never having seen that. It's like, what do we look like when we've been snuffed out? Quite literally. So is there anything in particular about this card that you adore?
I like I like the symbolism. I appreciate the transformation aspects of it. I mean, it doesn't go into the nitty gritty of death itself, which I don't know. I think for a Wonderland deck, it's appropriate that it does.
Yeah. Wonderland is more about the vision of transformation and how we grow and change, and not so much about death necessarily. So the finality of death. It's more like, where do we go from here? I feel like in a lot of ways with Wonderland's story, she goes through a lot of little transformations which could be considered deaths. She has a death of her innocence. She has a death of these thought processes. She has a death of these rigid thoughts that she once had. So she's constantly who am I now? That comes up a lot in the Wonderland story. So I like that we're leaning hard into that. And I love that it's the cake and the drink.
I'm not sure that the Wonderland Tales meant to do this. Perhaps they did. I don't know. But it seems like they're very tangential with, if you believe in serial lives, you can see the cycles going through the Wonderland stories.
Yeah.
Now, I can't go into the author's head, and I heard strange things about the author, but
we're gonna step away from that side of things. Also, he was a math teacher, so he couldn't have been that.
Yeah, probably not. So probably it's like, it just works that way.
Yeah, but I love this deck. I love the colors of it too. That's one of my favorite things. And she looks a little rough already, and she's only at the very beginning of her voyage at this point.
Yes, exactly.
All right, I'm going to grab a hold of
the Labyrinth.
The Labyrinth Tarot, which again, This one I think is actually one of Kim's decks.
Yes. it is.
And so Ron is borrowing it because he likes to talk about it. What I love is the back of these cards also have kind of that back and forth symbolism, but you can tell what is up and what is upside down on it if you remember which is which. So first thing about this one is our number 13 card is not death. It is
fate.
It is fate. And also, we know that if you are a big fan of Labyrinth, you will know who this character is right by looking at him. But if you don't, it's a bit surprising of who this character is. So, Ron, what are your feelings immediately about this card?
That first of all, the Labyrinth would be different is no great shock at all.
Yeah.
Because it was such a twisted and amazing story, and all at the same time.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, this guy being the judge of fate. Oh yeah.
So, shall we spoil it for those who have not seen the film?
Of course.
All right. So, the spoiler of this little character on here is not just some random goblin that Sarah meets in the labyrinth. He is actually Jareth in disguise, and he is offering her some opportunity. And then as he stands up, we see who he really is, and he reveals himself. And I think if anybody is kind of a deity of transformation, a death card sort of energy, it is Jareth. He is either death or he is the fool. And he's kind of the magician and a little bit of all the characters rolled into one in Labyrinth. But definitely, if he had a role, Death would be one because he does some things to transform who Sarah is. And it's funny that the two cards that you chose are very much these young characters who go through these transformations through these weird worlds. So I like that. Was there a reason you did that? Or did you just like
it just made sense. I mean, especially given what's happening in my own world, it's like, yeah, I can see the transformation. And I think it's important to remember that people go through transformations throughout their lives.
Yeah, and really that death of innocence part where, again, it's interesting because the character of Alice in your Alice in Wonderland deck, she's much younger going through a lot of the stuff that Sarah goes through in the labyrinth, but it is still transformative. It is still like, where are we going from here? I will be someone totally different on the other side of this. And I like that it's called fate instead, because that kind of leans into the inevitable, and yet we don't get to plan for it. We just have to kind of go along for the ride. So does the book offer anything? Because it's got a pretty substantial book with this one too.
Well, of course, it says right off the bat, the Goblin King Jareth is skilled in the art of transformation, which is the theme of fate. This card represents change, transition, and metamorphosis.
Yes, all of those things. I like that. Yeah, faith. Also, fate represents the chapter in your life to come close as you can to begin fresh, a new one. Yeah. So many of our death cards that we've been talking about today are pushing forth on the whole idea of change and transforming and being somebody else on the other side of things. So yes, I love all of this. What do you think? Anything else you want to add about these decks?
I do like how it had the thing here about fate reverses says resisting change will only delay your progress. It's time to embrace it.
Yep. Embrace it.
Which is sometimes the hardest thing to do.
It is. It definitely is hard to say, yep, I'm done with that. I'm moving on. I need to change, but it's coming for us all. And that's not just the big D death. I feel like everything I've said today has got some weird connotations to it. But anyway, so yeah, not just the big D death, but all those little deaths as well along the way. Yes, take that as you will, audience.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Ron,
Certainly.
for joining us again. I appreciate it.
Course.
And then we have a new person joining us this time. Somebody you guys have never seen before.
Don't be too scared.
Don't be too scared off. I think we actually have some people still watching us. So if you are brand new joining us, we are live in the House of Rainbows and Awesome. talking about the death card, and hopefully all of these videos will be broken up into little pieces later, and they'll be a little cleaner. Hopefully I now have somebody who maybe will help me edit with things, so we don't have to do it in a one-shot stage style. And so without further ado, let me introduce our newest guest, not the Invisible Man, but
Well, not a man at all. I'm really just a pixie.
he's very tall. So I don't know, it's like the tallest person I've had sit here. Okay, I'm
Well, these were
sit
both
up.
still in
I'm
screens.
gonna
That's
put
just
a
pretty cool.
yeah, I'm gonna put a pillow
That's
under me.
awesome.
All right, this is Bernard, and Bernard has not joined us before. But Bernard has two cards, I think. Three. Oh, you do have three. Okay, I see it. Okay. Oh, good. We're gonna talk about the Astro Matrix deck. I love it. Okay, so unless you have one in particular you want to start with.
I have an order that I was. gonna
Okay,
go
he's
through.
got an order to
Yes.
it, so I'm happy to
So
happy to oblige
and
the
hopefully
order.
so anyway, the first one is Secrets of the Witch's Garden Tarot.
Witch's
which is
Garden
very-
Tarot. I'm gonna-
they're
Woo,
very,
don't take that out because you've got a bookmark in there.
Yeah.
All right, so you take the book, I'll take the card.
and
We haven't seen this deck before, so I'm gonna show the back of it first.
This is also one that you cannot tell whether it's
Yeah.
reversed or not.
Kim loves these. And then on the other side, we love the art on this already. I love it. I'm trying not to get the glare
Yes,
on
and it has
there.
interesting symbolism. And I don't have a picture in my head of the traditional Waite Smith, but this one has some interesting stuff in it, and it's partially mentioned in the book.
Good.
Particularly, like in the back, there's looks like a grieving woman by a thing.
Yeah.
So it's an aspect of death. And then there's a child handing death a pumpkin, which is
Yes.
might be some sort of symbolism of growth of the new
Mhm.
life. So it's again a transition kind of thing, which we were talking about.
I love that. And also what I really like on this, we're gonna harken back to the deck that Kim had that had the pumpkins and death. And this is a very different vibe
Yes.
than Kim's Halloween deck that we talked about in the very beginning.
Yeah, it comes with a happy death.
Yes. And this one's just sort of like interesting sort of way of looking at death. But we've got the crows up in the corner. All right. And we've got the woman grieving in the background. What else do we love about this deck for you?
Well, one of the things about the whole deck is it has a very feminine aspect to it. A lot of a lot of feminine energy. It's sort of leans that way more than some other decks. I do like that a lot. Also, this has the book has keywords like this: death is transformation, which is very appropriate. It mentions Scorpio.
Yes.
Um,
We like when they add in the astrological aspects, especially when you're learning.
And of course, it has a little story, and like all these books have, and then it has an upright and reversed, very short little things.
Cool.
And
So whose deck is this?
this is a book by Sasha Graham, art by
Natasha.
Natasha.
I'm gonna say Elinik.
I
Elinik? Sure, we'll go with that.
probably can't pronounce it correctly either. But very wonderful art throughout the deck. Love all the pictures.
Cool.
And they largely follow Waite Smith in some aspect, but they are well transformative.
Very
Speaking of the death
transformative.
card,
Yes. What I like about it is that yes, it does hold true to all of the symbols that are in the more traditional death card. And we have that death comes for all of us kind of vibe with it. So we have the woman in the background grieving, we have the child in the foreground. Death is just sort of wandering by. It's not an ominous figure, which I don't believe death represented in any of them was really an ominous figure. I feel like in every single one of them, death was sort of more just sort of there, just sort of passing by. And it's like, yep, you just happen to be in death's path this time.
just wait till card number 3.
Oh, okay. So he's got a good one. We're going to finish on a high note, I can tell. All right. So with this particular card, what I do like is the aspect of the child in the foreground, because one of the things that I'm thinking about this is we don't know who the woman in the background is grieving about. And it could be the essence of this child. So maybe the child is like, here I am, this is my offering so that I can follow you on over the river Styx kind of thing. So maybe the child is the one going with death.
That is interesting. I had not thought of that. That is very cool.
So
I like that.
That's kind of the energy I get from it, because she is in the foreground with death and making an offering to death. And in many cultures, we have to kind of make an offering in order to complete our crossover with death. So that's something that I would like to point out sometimes with this one. Obviously, the ravens or the crows, they're harbingers of death. So I like that they're represented on there too. So this is, I like it. I also like the color palette on it. This is one of the nicer energies of death. It also does lean heavily into autumn, which I know we're here in spring and we're talking about the death card because I want to talk more about the transformation part of it. But I love that. All right. So if you don't have anything to add about that card,
No, I'd like to move on to.
let's
the
move
next
on.
one.
This
is a
I
little
feel
bit-
like this one's going to be very bright and frilly.
this is interesting. This is the Guide to Mystical Fairy Tarot.
Yep. I love that. You're like, we're all
I guess you were reversed.
Everybody's
I'm thinking you're on the
learning.
other side now.
We're learning how to do the camera.
Uh,
So this is the Mystic Fairy Tarot, and this is another Barbara Moore deck.
Yes.
So we love those. We absolutely love all the Barbara Moore decks. I'm totally not playing favorites, I swear, but I do love her decks. For beginning tarot readers, her decks really have a lot of valuable information. So I'll take the card. I don't want to steal it as your bookmark. There we go. All right. Oh, wow. Okay. She's
So-
got some goth vibes going on. So the
This is
back of the deck
interesting.
again, we've got a reversible back, which Kim likes. I'm
Mhm.
trying to point that out because Kim's over here looking at me. So I'm trying to make sure I point that out.
And this
All
is
right.
an interesting description. The
She
death
matches
is
you.
given a feminine aspect, and there's.
Notice his t-shirt. Okay. Anyway,
Oh,
go
I
on.
just wanted to mention it because you mentioned butterflies in another segment.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and say, look at Bernard's t-shirt too. He's got the butterflies going on. So
Which I totally meant to do that.
I
Yeah,
know
absolutely,
everybody
yes, exactly.
totally
So,
planned
big
for
thing.
this.
But-
Apparently wearing my "Let's Start a Cult" shirt was my death card. I had so many options today. I should have been on it. You guys are so good. All right, so going back to the card, we've got the Mystical Tarot or Mystical Fairy, Mystic Fairy,
Mystic Fairy Tarot.
Wow, that's a
And
mouthful.
this description, first of all, this deck is interesting in that it is written by Barbara Moore, who's done many books
Mhm.
and does like upright and reversal. This doesn't have anything for reversals. It just has
Oh,
it has a message, a suggested message, and a little story part, but it has no mention of reversals in this particular book, which is
I like
I
it.
found interesting. Another aspect of this, which is mentioned in the book, she's presented as basically a beautiful fairy,
Mhm.
and she also had little ashen butterfly wings behind her. So that's.
Yeah, I like that.
But the interesting part here is it says, well, part of death being unknowable, that we are both attracted and repelled.
Yes,
And,
that is true. Those of us with, adrenaline junkies, we are definitely attracted by death.
Or maybe heading toward it.
Heading
Actually-
toward the inevitable.
A completely unrelated book, which book doesn't matter. An interesting phrase regarding death that I've heard is it was called a hypothetical eventuality.
Yes, I do like
And-
that. A hypothetical eventuality, much like my inevitable but unplannable. Yes, I like that.
Yes, that's what I thought of when you
Yeah.
were talking about that in the other segment. So, anyway, yes, this death also is. Oh yeah, there's the loss and transformation part.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's sometimes in our lives there are things that, like when I moved, I lost a whole bunch of stuff. My house was packed; it was like way over full. Now I have a smaller house. I have fewer things, but I'm in a much better place.
Yeah,
So
and
that's-
we have more people
and I-
that are recently going through a lot of that stuff
And-
too. So yeah,
And I think that sometimes losing a bunch of stuff can lead to better. So I think that's part of what the death card is. It's not just the loss or the death of anything
Right.
necessarily, or unless it's metaphor. It could be real
see,
death.
part of the reason we're talking about the death card is because of spring cleaning. Got to
And-
clear out the old.
In another philosophy, there's one phrase that comes to mind is like you have to empty your cup to fill it.
Yes,
Like that.
yeah, drain it.
So
So, what I like as far as symbolism on this card, I really like that she is seated upon the skull instead of being the skull in this case. She's kind of domineering over it. So she is lording over it. I also love the mushrooms in the background because mushrooms are definitely symbols of death, but that rebirth that comes of it because mushrooms grow from dead things. So when you can't have mushrooms without death, and we all love mushrooms. I definitely
Yes.
am a huge fan of mushrooms. So you can't have mushrooms without death. So that is definitely in there.
So
This
yes,
is
we
one of
appreciate death greatly because we
appreciate
love
death.
mushrooms. I love
Love
mushrooms as well.
mushrooms.
So it's like
so one of the things I also notice on this one is that the butterfly idea is represented because she has wings, but it doesn't represent necessarily any particular type of butterfly. So it's not necessarily the death's head sort of wings that she has. It's not necessarily monarch butterfly wings that she has. They're just sort of wings in general. So it's there sort of, but it's not there in the same way that some of the other cards have represented. So yeah, I love this one. Very nice. I also love the art in this one. It's so pretty.
Oh, the art throughout is beautiful.
Yeah,
And very, very stylized. It's
yeah,
very nice.
I like that. So, all right. Last but not least, I love that you chose this deck to be part of your trio. And why did you choose it for the last one? Because you said there was an order.
Because it's just super cool. It has a teeniest book, so the book has little meaning.
Yeah.
Except it does mention that Death is Scorpio.
Yes.
But aside from that, it has like a little teensy blurb. But the
I want to
card is just-
emphasize the back on this one for sure, because the back on this one, if it's clear enough in the video, which I'm not sure if it is, pause for a moment, take a picture of this, because this QR code is going to send you to the app and the website for this particular deck. So I'll give everybody a second to see if they can actually see that, because I don't know if I have enough light here to do it. We've got like weird shadows today. We're doing a death thing. That's why we're shadowed. It's not because I didn't set up the lights correctly. All right. So tell me why you like this death card before I flash it up there.
First of all, the Astromatics deck has some of the coolest art in it. It is bold colors, and it just hits you
it does.
like a ton of bricks, but in a good way. And this is one of them. And also, I like who's on it. So,
all right.
So the death card represented by the goddess Kali,
yes,
who is actually a mother goddess, but also the goddess of destruction and time.
Yes.
And one thing I just looked up on the wiki because I didn't know, because it's like that little guy who she's stepping on. In the wiki, it has a similar picture. And it said that it's an angry Kali trampling on the god Shiva.
Yes.
Which I did not know before until just a few minutes ago. But it lends me a new understanding of this card, because I didn't know who that guy was.
See, this is why we do our research.
He doesn't look like a Shiva to me.
No, not really.
He's probably not supposed to, but
oh, I love that he's kind of representing a war, though. I like that. So
military.
Very military kind of character. And I see time is there. So yeah, I love this card. And yes, the color is bold on this one.
And strangely enough, and I did not know this before, she's known as the protector as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you Miss Kali expert.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I have some history with some of these goddesses.
I had at least the images I did have of Kali were correct. I just didn't know that much. And I still should seek further knowledge, because it's a very interesting religion.
She is an amazing character in religion, and as a goddess, she is one of the more powerhouse goddesses, I would say. But she crosses those things of like life and death and those barriers in between. And she also has the scythe in one hand, and she also has fire in the other. And fire is also purifying and destructive if used incorrectly, but when used correctly, can be great. I mean, we all love a good barbecue, right? So definitely do some more research on Kali. You'll find she's a very fascinating goddess.
Oh yes,
not
absolutely.
Real fond of men in general, but
I'm not a man. I'm a
that's
pixie.
fine. Yes, so you're good. You're safe.
Sneak in under the wire.
Barely safe, I think. I don't know about you sneaking under anything. You're very tall. I don't know about going down.
I have a very strong sense of identity.
Like I'm the shrinky. So, what are some of the things that you noticed in this were maybe not traditional death, but brought to mind the more traditional death card?
Well, let me take a look,
because you're like, I don't know.
Because that's the card struck me.
I like the skulls on it.
There's a time aspect.
Yep. We've got the time down in the corner.
Little
hourglass down in the top, in the bottom corner there.
And she is a death goddess, so certainly that I already knew something about what the death card means, generally speaking. And you pointed out the fire and the scythe, and there's also
she's got the trident. Yeah, she's got all kinds of things going on there. The fire in the background, the very explosive nature of her in that case. So yeah, I like her as embodying the full cycle of death, because again, she is a mother goddess. She brings life into the world, but it's sort of like the mom. I don't know if everybody else had a mom like this, but every once in a while, mom will say, I brought you into this world. I can take you out. That's Kali. That's definitely her energy is, I brought you in. I can take you out. So yeah, we've got all of that represented on here. And yes, Astro Matrix deck is brilliant. I love it. It also has an app which has way more information about the death card on it. It'll tell you the planets that are associated, the astrology symbols associated, stones. What else does it have? Little messages and things to think about with each card.
Every aspect.
It does. It has a
great
lot
app.
of cool
It's
stuff.
currently my favorite
Yeah,
tarot app.
and also the cards themselves have the QR code on the back, which I love that.
Yeah.
So
And also you can tell whether it's going to be reversed or not.
yes,
Because of the 3 squares.
the 3 squares on the
So-
QR code, because if you're a nerd, you know which way's up on it.
Some people might not be a fan of that.
Yeah, it's really Kim moved over into the corner of the room. So I don't know how everybody feels about this whole live action sort of tarot thing, but it's a little bit wild and it's a little bit what we've been doing anyway in the Tarot Cafe. So I think we might try it again. We'll see what happens. I noticed we had a few people join us on the TikTok, so thank you for joining us there. And we did have a few people off and on joining us on YouTube. We'll see if maybe we can hype it up a little more. I did not hype this one at all because I was kind of like, this is our first try. Let's not let the world know what we're doing just yet. So, and thank you, Bernard, for joining us for
I
the
love
very
it.
first time
It's very
to
fun.
all of this. And thank you to Ron and Kim and Taylor for coming back and joining us. And trust me, guys, it will twist their arms and they will be back for more. So
Definitely would like to do some other. There are other cards I have in mind that would
Yes.
be very nice to cover. I would like to. So.
other cards, other decks. Next month we will do. What are we doing next month? Now my brain just
I don't really
slipped.
know.
We'll do Temperance next month. I think. Yeah, that's card number 14. So yeah, that's card number 14. So we'll be doing Temperance. So they're going to spend the whole month picking their favorite cards and doing tons of research and picking out the cards that are best suited for them. And then we'll talk about the Temperance card next month. And this month I will try to be back with more cards also. So if any of you out there have cards that you recommend me talking about in reference to the death card, particular decks, or if any of you guys here in-house right now have any cards you want to talk about, we'll do that too. So I'm excited. We also have a ton of stuff to do at the House of Rainbows and Awesome today. We're going to be doing dance and sword fighting and all kinds of, and the windmill. We have a lot of death happening today, actually. We're going to be doing a new song that has a lot to do with death, and we're going to be doing the windmill, which is pretty much death.
And spilling more wine on the floor.
And spilling more wine on the floor. Talking about transformation. So, all right. Thank you. Thank you, Bernard. I'm going to wrap all this up, and Kim is turning off the TikTok one while I turn off this. And I will promise to be better at figuring out how to talk to people while they're on here too, because I think there was probably TikTok stuff. I don't know. Kim's like, I don't know how to turn it off. Look, you guys get to see Kim. All right. I'm going to end the stream now. Thank you guys. Bye. I am saving this one, so you get to see it later.
And live.
No longer be
And
live.
now.
Okay. And good timing.
Very good timing.